Welcome back to Celebrity Radio. It's Alex Belfield talking to some of my favourite people ever and some of the most talented stars in the country. And we've got one for you today. Bernie Clifton has just announced he'll be doing Panto this year in Hull with Anita Dobson from the 6th of December through the 30th of December. And he's also coming to the Bonington Theatre in Nottingham in just a couple of weeks. How are you, Bernie?
I'm really looking forward to it. And you say one of your favourite people, but you've never invited me on this cruise that you're going on. So was it the Isle of Wight? Can't remember.
Animals aren't allowed, you see, on these ships. And I'm nervous you'd bring a friend with you, if you know what I'm saying.
When I was on the QE2, I was on my jogging. I used to jog every morning, and I overtook Burt Bacharach, who was jogging with a friend of his who'd seen my show the night before. And as I overtook him, I said, "Good morning, Mr. Bacharach." And he went, "Hi." And his mate said to him, "Hey, Bert, do you know who that is?" And he went, "No." And he said, "It's the limey on the chicken." It's amazing, isn't it? And that's, in a way, Alex, that's what my one-man show is all about. It's these wonderful... I've met everybody in the world in 60 years on the road, and it's just telling those wonderful stories and doing some songs. And it's it's a very interesting life and a very interesting career from a lad in St Helens wearing clogs to a standing ovation in Vegas. You know, it's a wonderful journey. I feel sort of privileged to be able to tell it.
Yeah, incredible. You'll be coming here to my neck of the woods on Tuesday, 25th of September, 2:30 from Crackerjack to Vegas. And it's interesting. Let's start at the end. The beginning of the end, if you want to put it that way, because the Vegas thing was a seminal moment earlier in the year. I mean, it went gangbusters, that, and it really made you all look great. I was nervous they might edit it to make some people look worse, but actually everybody came out of it well.
I think they were very fair in terms of what the hundreds of hours that they had on film to knock it down to 4 or 5 hours would have like a very, very difficult editing job. But I think what came out from me was the mutual respect that all those old turns had for each other. You know, with Sue Pollard and Tommy and Bobby, we've all known each other, Alex, for 50, 60 years, and to have reached and survived that time span, I think there was some kind of respect. But on the other hand, you don't really know people until you live with them.
Right.
And that was the joy of sharing a kitchen. Tommy Cannon telling you don't fry eggs like that. Jess Conrad coming down, can't open a packet of cornflakes. Kenny Lynch at the sink swearing like a trooper. And in the middle of all that, who should come in but Hurricane Pollard? Hey, what's happening? It was sent. We were really tired. We were exhausted, but we were hysterical. For 2 weeks we were hysterical. And then to tap it all, to go out on stage and to be told by the American producer, who really thought it was a car crash, and then getting a standing ovation. It's something I'll never forget. What a journey.
And I happened to be there that night, purely by coincidence. I didn't know you were going to be filming, and then we found out, obviously, between us that you were going to be there, so I got a ticket, and it was sensational. And I'm not speaking out of turn. I love Cannon and Ball. Sue's one of my favourite people ever. You nailed it that night. I mean, Mick Miller got the laughs, but you'd got the heart. They just loved you. And that wasn't a guarantee, was it? There was no promise that the Americans would get you.
No, I think probably I managed to portray, it's that thing about being 81, 82 years old, and it's the truth of the journey, Alex, isn't it? It's the fact that the thing I'm telling, that's the story I'm telling on my one-man show. It's the truth of what you've been and what you've been through, and that wonderful line that it's a fantastic line. I said to my good lady, can you ever have imagined in your wildest dreams that I'd be performing live on stage in Las Vegas? And she turned to me and said, Bernie, I don't quite know how to say this, but you're never in my wildest dreams. It's such. I just think it's such a lovely, but it's the truth of it, Alex, isn't it?
Yeah. And what I love about you too, you've got different facets to what you do. I mean, there's the visual comedy, the silliness, the great props that you bring on, and then you bring out this voice. And what's so incredible is that it's really good. I mean, most comedians try and sing; they're not necessarily good at it, but people loved you singing, and it actually was the killer moment from the series.
I thank you, and I'll never forget it as long as I live. To get the audience came and stood on their feet at the end of the song. I did, and I told the producer, "This is what I want to sing." It's the Whitney Houston "One Moment in Time," and it says it all about time, and it's and the relation that we have with time. When you get to a certain, as Barry Cryer often says to me, Alex, don't talk to me about. I'm not even buying green bananas. It's just that just we're so lucky to be around, to have had the experiences and to be here still in reasonable health, telling the tale. We're such a lucky lad.
Yeah, incredible. And then another fortuitous thing has happened this year on the back of the Panto. You've decided to go back to... on the back of Las Vegas, you've decided to go back to Panto, and it's somewhat sad because, of course, we lost one of the Chuckle brothers this year. Barry was such a fabulous act, and there's no way Paul could have gone on that stage without him.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, knowing the boys, and again, this is growing up with them, if you like, in Yorkshire, seeing them come to the clubs and the theatres, and the brothers as well, the Patton brothers, the older brothers. It's going to be very, very poignant, Alex, on that opening night to realise that I'm only there as the result of a tragic loss, and I shall. And this isn't. I know it sounds very profound, but I shall be thinking of Barry that night, and they mean a lot to me. The boys, we toured together, we played gags on each other, just being good mates, and for him to leave so early, it's an absolute tragedy. But it did mean, of course, that they had to reschedule all the casting of the theatre. Kudos. And I just know that I'm going to be aware of Barry when I'm on stage there, but I'm looking forward to Panto, looking forward to be back in harness, if you like, Alex, because it's what I love to see. 3 generations of the same family sharing laughter. It's such a precious gift, and there's no quite exhausting again, but. I'm grateful to be in the frame still.
Yeah, and let's just go back to Barry as a performer. I mean, their comic timing was superb, wasn't it?
Well, no, yes, they had this wonderful presence. I worked with them in pantomime as well as variety, and everything they did, it was copper bottomed. It was nailed down in the way that many variety acts had routines that were absolutely nailed down. Yeah. And I just sort of have got so much admiration. But more than anything, Alex, I think what I admire is the fact I don't think any of us realised what height they achieved because they were so down to earth. They really were the lads next door. And when you think of the magnitude of the career, all those years on television and the success, the summer seasons and the panto, but because they were so sort of self-effacing, you didn't quite get it. And then when you look back at the record, you think, wow, these boys, they were giants.
Yeah, remarkable.
Barry be sadly missed.
And we must also remember that you were great friends. I mean, you still have a community of old turns who get together every week and sit there. And the Patton brothers were part of that. And they used to regularly come up and you'd work together. I mean, you've worked together for decades and known each other.
And the love of what was going on backstage. We had this week's variety in Air, the Gaiety Theatre in Air for Stanley Share, and there was Michael Vine, who is now my manager. He was on with Karen doing his magic. There was Bruce Thompson, the one-man band. There was the Chuckle brothers and me and a singer, and all week long we were playing golf and we were playing gag. We shared the same gigs, and your bed would be apple pied when you'd go up one night. All that kind of stuff that's the essence of variety when you're on the road. Yeah. And on Saturday night, we'd looked at the Chuckle Brothers from the wing, and they had a gag that Barry ate a banana without Paul realising, and you just eat a quick bite and they put it behind his back. What are you doing? No. And what we did on the Saturday afternoon, went out and bought a syringe and injected the banana with Albas oil.
Wow.
And I'll tell you what,
Messy.
the wings, they're full of people. And Barry was eating the banana, and of course, with the added ingredient, his nose started to run and his eyes started to water. Paul's looking out, thinking, "What's going on?" But they had to go through the routine, and they've never quite forgiven me for that. But every time I used to meet them, they used to say, "Get you, Clifton, banana."
And to be in Cinderella, this kudos, phenomenal pantomime. It's beautiful. I saw it last year twice, actually, once in Bradford, once in Birmingham, I think. And they really do give you everything. This is a moment for you to shine. And at your age, as you say, it is remarkable and proof that at any age you can still be relevant and you can still be bloody funny.
It's a great part. I think Baron Hardup, right. Especially my potty Baron Hardup, who comes on, steams on at 100, well, not 100 mile an hour, all right, 30 miles an hour, and just bang, 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 off. I think it's a great opportunity for me, Alex, to actually spray the pantomime with my nonsense, and there'll be all the props will be there, albeit briefly. And the thing I love about working for Curious, this standard of production, it'll be at a very, very high level. They don't mess about, and I'm looking forward, of course, to working with Anita Dobson, who's they've just announced that Anita's on. And of course, does this mean I'll get free guitar lessons from Brian May?
I'm sure he'll certainly be up.
I'm working with your missus. Any chance of showing me how that F7 works?
This is really your life. Every day you bump into people that to other people are stars and legends. Is that normal now when you meet somebody like Brian May and it's just Anita's husband?
I think it's again, what a privilege. It's how lucky are we? I went to see a friend of mine at the BBC got some tickets to see League of Gentlemen last month at the Buxton Opera House, and I went to see them, and I was so sort of taken aback by the apparent. Well, the respect, the love that they had for my generation. You know, came around, these giants of contemporary comedy they're doing a stadium tour, Alex. They're doing arenas. Yep. And I went backstage to say hello to Steve Pemberton and Reese, and they were sort of, wow, it's great to meet you. And I thought, this is quite something, because I suppose if you go back 30 years into the formative years of comedy when they're all students. These are moments and a time in your life that you remember. They kind of define you in a way, and to be able to meet them and congratulate them on the tour, the stuff that they're doing. It's like a rock tour. The place was rammed full, and they're doing places like the O2. And it's a great feeling. It's a great awareness of the crossover of the generations. My generation still have something to offer, and I'm grateful for that.
I've got to meet you many, many times over the last few years. Most recently, of course, we were at Doddie's funeral, and I don't think you get, like Doddie, how much you are loved and respected and how much you mean to us. You take us back to a better time, a better place, a place of innocence, a place of pure laughter and fun. You've done that, right?
Yeah, and I'm glad that you mentioned the governor, because I do a tribute to Ken in my one-man show with guitar. I wrote a song about being at his funeral, and here we are in Liverpool to say goodbye to Ken. If we live to be 100, we won't see his like again. And it's very poignant, very, very wonderful moment to enable me to pay a tribute. And then, of course, at the end of the show, one of the greatest honours that's been bestowed on me, Alex, is for Ken to ask me to speak at his celebration lunch in London, well, only 6-9 months ago, and for Ken to ask me would when I come along and speak. There's me and Jimmy Cricket, Barry Cryer, Roy Hood. It was a tremendous compliment. I've never forgotten it. And of course, in the show, I feature the stories about Ken, and the way that I burst in and appeared on his "This Is Your Life." Mike Laspel, this will be 25 years ago at least, introduced Frank Carson, and Frank Carson introduced me, ladies and gentlemen, just returning on a nationwide tour of The Sound of Music. Bernie Clifton, and I came in on Ken Dodd's "This Is Your Life" on the back of a nun. And Ken just collapsed with hysterics, and I've got the film of him. We took this film clip from YouTube, and to see Ken in stitches, it's a wonderful moment, and it's all part of my story that I'm telling on the one-man show, Alex. I'm so grateful.
Yeah, what a life, what a career, and it seems to be going from strength to strength. 2019, I mean, you're going to be in Panto at Christmas. Then next year, I guess you're going to do more of these gigs because you'll have the time to do them.
Well, yes, I hope so. I've got. We're putting the show together. It's still work in progress. It's 2 45-minute spots, 2 halves, 45 minutes.
Come off it. You can do 2 45 minutes in about 3 minutes, can't you? Come on, stop it. Switch him off. Somebody. It's just so great to be able to. I can indulge myself. We've got backing tracks. I've got a live pianist with me, and I do get to sing, to do proper singing. I'm still having singing lessons. I found a new singing teacher. I was always a singer. I just got in with the wrong crowd. Right. They led you astray.
All I really want to do is be a singer, and this nonsense got in the way. Well, why? I don't know, but I'm really grateful for still being on the journey and for the times I've had, and hopefully for the times I'm going to have. You
are one of the funniest people I've ever met. You're also one of the nicest guys in show business history, and we encourage you to keep on keeping on because you're a legend and a star, and we cannot wait to see you. This Christmas, you'll be in pantomime. What a place to see you in Cinderella, this fairy godmother of all musicals and pantomimes. It's such a spectacular. I mean, they put tons of money into it. There's nobody really doing it as well as Kudos at the moment. Fantastic, aren't they?
They do the job, properly. The production values are sky high. I think I was down there last week, and they told me how many pantos. I think they're doing over 30 pantos.
There's 39 now. Yeah.
Which is unbelievable. And the new theatre in Hull, of course, where we're doing Cinderella, has been totally revamped. We spent millions on it. So that's going to be a thrill. And to have the production values and to be working with Anita and the rest of the cast, it's going to be great. Going to have a great time.
I can't wait to see it. Cinderella at the New Theatre in Hull. It's from the 6th of December through the 30th of December. And then we're going to see you here next week, 25th of September, here at the Bonington Theatre in Arnold in Nottingham. Go and see the one-man show. And it really is so special to see you just reliving your life and career. It must be strange in a way when you look at those clips. It must be like looking at your grandson.
Especially when we show a clip of the ostrich and people say, is this your first ostrich? I say, well, I know it's my 9th, but every time we get a new one, it's a bit slower than the one before. And as I said to the Queen, Alex, as I said to the Queen 2 years ago, with the Water Rats had a reception at Buckingham Palace, and I was introduced to the Queen by Keith Simmons and said, Your Majesty, this is Bernie Clifton, who appeared in front of you on a royal variety show some years ago on the back of an ostrich. And she's quite a tiny person, you know, and she went, ostrich? And I said, yes, Your Majesty. I said, and I'm still performing on the ostrich, but these days it's much slower. And she went, isn't it funny? Isn't it funny how things do get slower? Off she went. So it's still there. It's still there, but at a different pace.
You're doing great. I love to see you live. I love to see you in person. You're never boring, and you're always a top star. Bernie Clifton, thanks for your time.
My great pleasure, Alex, and good luck to you. Enjoy your cruise, mate.